Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Built for the Stage podcast. This is Joe Roscoe, founder and host of Built for the Stage, Broadway's #1 fitness platform. With clients in over 20 Broadway shows, the West End, shout out to Jason, just opened up Hercules on the West End. Excited to see it. Tokyo Disney, collegiate theaters across the country. We're your one-stop shop for all things fitness. Go to builtforthestage.com. Special thanks to Broadway Podcast Network for producing the episode. All right. On to our special guest, very special guest today. I tend to say special guest as always, and I truly mean it, but today's very special guest because it is a BFTS fan member. They put in some major work with me. I mean, forget with me. They themselves, they put in some major work while on tour, on the Philip tour with Hamilton. They just got off the tour, I think, about a month ago. He was playing Hercules Mulligan and James Madison on the tour, but he's back. And I think he's back living in West New York, New Jersey. He put that in his bio, and he makes this funny little thing about saying that's a city in New Jersey for those who don't believe it. And I wanted to bring that up because, I mean, I believe it. I don't think he's lying, but I definitely want to talk about it. So please welcome to the podcast, Eddie Ortega.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Woo!
applause. Appreciate it.
What's
Appreciate it.
up, fam? Hello.
Hello. I'm happy to be here, man.
Okay. So I think this is kind of similar as far as the whole West New York, New Jersey thing. Kansas City is like split by Kansas and Missouri. So there's a
Yeah.
Kansas City, Missouri, which brought that memory to my mind when hearing West New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, I've actually
Oh,
been to Kansas City where it splits there because I
okay.
traveled with one of my friends when he was moving to Denver a few years ago, and we stopped there and had like
Okay.
some drinks, and I was like, oh, so and literally you could see the split. It was like, oh, so there's Kansas City. I mean, there's Kansas and there's Missouri, and it was really fun. But yes, I do think it's similar because every time I tell people where I live, they're like, oh, where are you staying now? You just got back. I'm like, oh, I live in West New York, and they're like, so is like by Harlem, and I'm like, no, it's West New York, New Jersey. It's literally it's in New Jersey, and they're like, oh, Jersey. I was like, yeah, it's Jersey, but I want to say the city. If I said Hoboken, you'd be like, okay, cool. But I'm like, so
Yeah.
I always have to clarify that I'm not trying to act like I live in New York. Even though
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
Jersey, I love Jersey. I lived here prior to the tour as well in Weehawken, so I love Jersey.
I'm gonna take a guess because if anyone watches this video, I'm taking a guess. All I can see are the colored sleeves and like a slight patch. Is that like a throwback Padres jersey, or what is that you're wearing right there?
It is a Padres jersey. It's a Fernando Tatis. I don't know if I can see the back.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Representing for the culture, but I am a Red Sox fan, so I
Don't
just
get it
like.
confused.
Yeah, my dad got me the jersey when I came back from tour because he wanted to see a game with me, and I think the
Cool.
Padres are playing, and it was a really cool jersey. I was like, I'll take it. So I'm representing for the culture,
Yeah.
but definitely I'm a Red Sox fan.
Got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful. San Diego is obviously beautiful, but the
gorgeous.
stadium, all that, great vibes. Speaking of sports stadiums, I saw on your Instagram while on tour, I think you sang the national anthem for the Chicago Bulls. Yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool. That
yeah,
was
that must have been
really
epic.
cool.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we uh we basically I would say stopped tour while on because I was there for a little over 2 years in Chicago. We were sat there for 5 months, and
Wow.
yeah, we just got a dope opportunity to sing the national anthem. Me, Marcus Troy, who's in Maybe Happy Ending now, and Jared Hamilton, who's leaving the Angelica tour in a few weeks. Yeah, they were just like, you guys want to do a trio, and then we just arranged it ourselves. We all had different versions that we sang, and I think Marcus sang it in a choir before, and so he's like, "I'm gonna sing this part. I'm gonna add these things," and I was like, "Great, I'm gonna do this," and Jared was like, "I'm gonna do this," and then I kind of tried to work some of the parts in between our rehearsals. We had just a couple, and then we sang in this huge stadium. First time I had in ears. I was like, I can't hear anything. I can't have both of them. This is crazy. There's so many people, and we got to watch the game too. They gave us free tickets, so yeah, it was amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
Is the Jordan culture still like heavy there, or have they moved on to their own identity? What's it like being, yeah.
So I'm a big NBA fan. I will say the fans were pretty good there, but they got, in my opinion, they don't have any identity right now. They had some interesting endings last year. Now they got Josh Giddey and a couple other guys. So they're definitely past the Jordan culture, I would say. It's been, what, 20, 30 years since, almost 30 years since any greatness in Chicago. I guess
Yeah.
Derrick Rose had a moment, but yeah, they're past that. But I root for them. I love the city. Chicago is a dope city. The stadium was great. The fans were good. But they got to figure out an identity.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of cities, you're from Orlando, yes? Originally
Mhm.
Orlando, Florida. Did you grow up with dreams of being a Disney park performer? Like, what's it like in Orlando? What's it like growing up in Orlando, Florida?
Yeah, Orlando is great. I actually really do love Orlando. But outside of just like the Disney stuff, it's a nice city. What I will say is growing up, I definitely did not have aspirations to work in the parks. And I think I never really did, but I wasn't much of a performer growing up because I kind of started, especially musical theater. That was my senior year of high school. I was very late to even auditioning for a show. That was my first audition. But yeah, so the Disney parks, I just love going to them. Actually, I like them more as an adult than I did as a kid. Because I was a big Universal kid growing up, loved Universal. But now I'm kind of a Disney adult. So yeah, no, but yeah, this me personally, I prefer film and TV over Disney parks. But as far as performing, but yeah, I was real late to this stuff. I'll say that.
Okay, cool. Perfect segue. Yeah, I was wanting to get into like your upbringing and how performing came along, but apparently it was not until senior year. So why then? You know, you waited 18 years nearly. Why all this? How did that just come into your scope of like, you know what? I'm gonna, yeah, how did it come about?
But yeah, well, I do have to say that I sang a little before then, but yeah, how it came about is the show in the Heights, and I'll backtrack and get there. But my, I started going to church like when I was 10 or 11, and then people would sing in the choir, and I always thought I had a good voice, but I would sing for, I remember one time I sang for my sister and my cousin, and they laughed at me, and I said, "Ooh, I guess I'm not good at singing," and I was like in my head for years about that. But eventually,
Mhm.
I got the courage and I sang. I auditioned in the in church choir when I was like 12 or 13, and they didn't have any guys in the choir, so they're like, "Yeah." The reaction was kind of like, "Yeah, he's good. You're good enough. Like you need a guy." And I was like, "Okay, I'll take it." So that's where I kind of learned how to sing a little bit more and how to harmonize, and I started enjoying that. And then when I got to high school, um, one of my best friends was in choir all the first 2 years of high school, and I wasn't because I was like performing in church is different than performing in the real world. But junior year, he convinced me, and he's like, "Bro, you sing. Come join choir." I joined choir. Uh, the voice teachers, the teachers there, thought I was great, and they're like, "Hey, you actually a really good singer. You should take voice lessons." I told them I couldn't afford voice lessons. They said we'll give you a scholarship. So I was like, "Wow, these people are really nice here. This is awesome." Started got a scholarship for the voice lessons, and then I was a big AP kid. I wanted to be a lawyer, so I was like, I'm taking all the smart classes. I'm
Okay.
was like top 10 in my class, and I was like, this is where I'm going. But I had to take electives, so I went, let me take an acting class. That sounds fun. I think I would enjoy that. We kind of do some dramas in church, so I'll do that. And that acting teacher saw me. He was like, "You're really good." He's like, "You should audition for the musical next year," which was In the Heights, which would mean I would do it senior year. And I was like, "I don't know. I've never auditioned." He's like, "Well, the lead guy's Dominican. Aren't you Dominican?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. I'm convinced." Um, and a couple of the guys in chorus were also like, "We're gonna audition with us. Like, we're gonna do it." So then I auditioned. That was a whole caddy thing. I got introduced to some of the caddy people in theater who I like wrote up because I knew the lead guy rap, Snavi rap. And so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write up a rap." Like I didn't know how this worked. I had never sang any. I'd never auditioned. in my life. So I was like, I'm gonna write up a little rap. Maybe that'll be cool. So I wrote one up, was practicing it before my audition, and the theater kids were like, "Oh, what are you singing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm actually not gonna sing. I'm gonna rap. I feel like that makes more sense for the role, right?" And they're like, "Oh no, you're not allowed to rap. You have to sing." It was a total lie. They sabotaged me. I didn't have a song prepared, so I just sang something from Tarzan that came to my head. I changed the key like twice. It was very embarrassing for me. But my monologue went well, and I danced okay. But I remember being upset because I saw that those same kids who told me that can't rap, they all rapped.
No.
Yep, they all
Get
rapped,
out
and
of
I said,
here.
"Oh, this is how y'all do it here. Cool, 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 cool." So before I'll get to the end here, but basically, the audition ends. Everyone's going home, but I was like, in my feels, 'cause I was like, I didn't give what I wanted to give, so I stopped the director. She was just leaving. I said, "Can I just rap for you real quick? Like, I had something prepared. I misunderstood. I thought I couldn't rap. I would love to rap for you." And I ended up rapping something from the show because I listened to the show before the audition. I was like, I love this. And so I rapped a verse from it, and she just kind of looked at me and nodded. She said, "Thank you," and like walked away. And then a few days later, I found out I got the lead role. So that was
Hey.
incredible. And then doing the show, just that was what made me want to do it. Like when I actually performed um, in my senior year in the show, I was just like, this. There's nothing like this feeling. The rehearsal process was everything to me. Working with people, I'm like, oh, we're all harmonizing. We dance with this. I actually like dancing. Who knew? And blah blah. And then by the end of it, I was like, I want to do this now. And my parents were like, "What? You wanted to be? You were going to school for law? What happened? What are you talking about?" And yeah, and then so then I auditioned for my alma mater, Florida State, and I had no dance training. I had a year of voice lessons, and I had done 2 shows because I did end up doing a show in the spring of my senior year as well. And I was awful in the dance audition. I did solid in the other ones, and they didn't accept me. I decided to still go to the school. I was like, I'm still gonna go. I'm gonna be a general music major, and I'm gonna audition again because
Oh wow.
I had people who I knew through my voice teacher who had also auditioned similar to me and not gotten in, but then auditioned the second time and got in. And that's where I met one of my best friends in the world as well, because she was in the same boat. We both were going to re-audition, but we both we're just going to be music majors. Although she was a vocal performance major, and so yeah, that next year I just talked to them and I was like, "What do I need to do?" They're like, "You don't know how to dance," and I was like, "You're right." And they're like, "You literally have never danced," and I was like, "You're right." And they're like, "You also only did 2 shows, so we don't know if you want to do this or if you just like got a bug." And we're like, "I'm going to pursue it." We have kids who've been doing this, for years that are auditioning. Um, and I said, "Bet." Then I'll prove y'all wrong. What class do I need to take? Took a lot of ballet and jazz um, that first year, and got better as a dancer. Got into a show. Uh, After I didn't get into a show, and then someone dropped out of ragtime that year, and then they were like, "Hey, we need someone else. Can you join?" I joined. They got to see me in that process. They were like, "Oh, good person, works hard, better dancer than we thought." And then auditioned and got in. And then that's where I learned and got my degree, and the rest is history.
Awesome. All right, that's a cool story of resilience right there. Awesome.
Yeah.
I would have thought after the no during the first audition, you would have been like, "Well, I guess lawyer it is." But that's all. That's cool.
Yeah, I
You still
never
you
turned back.
still do you still remember the In the Heights raps? All of them? The
Oh yeah,
Usnavi raps?
well yeah, because I ended up playing with Snavi again professionally my junior year of college. So that it's the summer of my junior year of college. So yes, I do, because I love that
Nice.
role, and
Um,
I would love for that show to get a revival. Would love it, but you know, we'll see.
I know that Hamilton is such a iconic, prolific show, but when you put them mano a mano, I always choose In the Heights. I'm a diehard In the Heights fan.
Me too.
Yeah, I can remember. Let's see, what year was it? I saw it when Jordan Sparks was in the Heights on
Yeah,
Broadway.
yeah,
That's when
yeah, yeah.
that's when I saw it. But
Probably
anyways,
2009, 2010, somewhere around there. I'm
yes,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll segue to the tour. So it's been a month, right, since you finished the tour.
Mhm.
You said you're on it for 2 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
Okay, a little over 2 years. Nice. Tell us about tour life. There's a few topics I want to touch on, but let's just jump into the fitness part since that's how we know each other.
Yeah.
While you're on tour, when did you decide to like get back into fitness? Did you try from the beginning? Like, what's that like? I think this is a great topic for people listening because it is like I said before we started recording, it's a struggle to find your groove, to find what gym am I going to in this city, or where am I
Mhm.
going to eat, or how am I going to survive uh always on the go. So what was that beginning journey, and then how did you find that groove that you found? Because wow, what an amazing 6 months it's been since we started.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, it was like any journey. There were hills and valleys. Like, uh, I when I got the job, I remember I was like, oh, I want to lose a little bit of weight. And then through the rehearsal process and all that, and like you said, trying to find gyms because I'm in a hotel. I didn't understand that I can get my own place sometimes. I didn't know how the gym stuff worked early on. Didn't know what I was doing. Actually put on a few pounds, but like lived with that because I was like the experience prepping for the role was more important to me. Then as time went on, actually, uh, by a year in, I gained like 10 pounds. And I was like, okay. And that was like the first mark where I was like, it's time for me to like make a change. And I did, and I lost like 15 pounds. I did like P90X and stuff like that because I had done it in the past and was doing better by eating better, blah, blah, blah. Then gained it all back and a little bit more again. And that's when we kind of got to the time uh, where I met you and I heard from people, Alexa Magro and Blaine. I'd heard that they had worked with you in the past, and I was like, yeah, I think I need I need some accountability, even if it's just I don't need like because I'm pretty good at staying on things as far as like having accountability myself, but I need an extra like, oh, if I start falling off, like, okay, now I can't let Joe down. Like I'm not gonna let myself down, but I can't let Joe down either.
Right.
Yeah. So then that was I also knew the tour was ending June 1st. So I was like, I'm getting through the holidays, and then in the new year, I'm locked in. You know, talk to you, and I think what changed was I knew now I have a because I'd never really had a trainer in the past. I was like, now this is something I've never had before. Therefore, I might get different results. So that was the first. My mindset was do that first, uh, and then it almost felt like homework. And I loved homework in school or
Mm.
like whatever, like a test. And I was like, okay, so now I'm getting these workouts. I gotta hit all of them. No excuses. So yeah, it was a process at first because it was like the gyms were hard to figure out because I had paid for Airbnbs ahead of time, and now I was like, okay, well, I want to get step. There was a time where I wanted to get steps in more, so now I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to get Airbnbs that are walkable. So I changed some Airbnbs. So I was walking to the theater, I was walking to the gym, and that was helpful. And then a couple months in, nutrition was the big thing that I focused on after I was like, okay, I'm locked in on the workouts. Um, and that was just a lot of studying, the YouTube studying of like, okay, proper macros, what's the deficit I want to be at, eventually what types of foods are more filling, because I was hitting calories, but then I was like, I'm still hungry. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you need more fiber, you need more this.
Yeah, what were
Um,
go into that. What were your go-tos that like kind of save the day where it's like, "Oh, yeah, it's the same calorie breakdown, but I feel a lot better. I don't feel as famished."
for sure, fruit and vegetables. Like,
Yeah.
because I just growing up, I mean, I don't want to speak for all Dominicans or Latinos or whatever, but like our we're used to a lot of carbs and a decent amount of protein, but not necessarily a lot of vegetables. Some fruit
Yeah.
for sure, but and so I think I was like, for me, broccoli. I can have as much broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Those were things that I was like, oh, I can fill half the plate with this, and I love the way it tastes, and that started getting me really full. Um, eventually now I'm locked in on like I have basically the same breakfast, same lunch, and planning meals ahead. So like for me, I like have my wrap with my egg whites. I do a little bit of chipotle mayo on top for a little bit of flavor, but I season it well enough that it tastes decent. Um, and then Greek yogurt, I get like this, whatever Greek yogurt, but usually like a light strawberry Greek yogurt or light blueberry Greek yogurt, non-fat. And then I'm missing one thing. Oh, and then a bunch of blackberries. Blackberries. I love blackberries. They're crazy high in fiber. I love the flavor. And they make me feel full. So, 100 grams of that.
Did you struggle? You kind of got into a groove where your breakfast, lunch, you said tended to be like pretty much the same. Was that a struggle with you, or are you kind of wired that way where it wasn't a big deal for you to eat similar stuff almost every day?
I'm wired that way. I'm gonna be honest, because I know it doesn't work for everybody, but
Yeah.
also I got here over the last couple months because I was having certain things where I was like, yeah, chicken, yeah, I'm making a bunch of shrimp, and then I'll make some veggies, and then I was like, and then whatever. These meals changed, but I just got to find something that I like to eat, and it took a few months there, but I am wired in that even at first when things didn't taste great or whatever, like I was like, I'm still hitting my targets and I'm trying to lose weight, and that's the goal. Now that I'm more in like a not trying to lose the weight really as fast or as much, I cared more about like how it tasted, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm wired that way that I can eat the same thing, but like I love Caesar salad. Now I like have a Caesar salad for lunch pretty much every day. And I love chicken. I eat a bunch of chicken. So yeah, I'm just kind of wired that way.
When you were on tour, but not doing the Airbnbs, but the hotels, obviously it was a lot more difficult to prep a variance of meals compared to an Airbnb. Did you find any tricks of the trade in the hotel that worked for you, or did you just feel
Yeah.
like this ain't working?
I will say the hotel issue was not an issue for long because my girl ended up joining the tour like 4 months. I don't even know if it's 4 months in, maybe 4 months in, maybe 3 months in. And we couldn't share a hotel. We had to get Airbnb. So I mostly had Airbnbs everywhere so that I didn't deal with the not having the kitchen. But especially when I met you, like I didn't have that issue much at all. It was more like Seattle, I was driving distance away. Like I had to get in the car. And so I was like, oh, I'm not getting my steps. And so now I got to find creative ways to get steps in. But as far as cooking meals, like I always had the opportunity to have a kitchen and to make meals. The issue sometimes was like, I'm in Seattle, I'm in Portland. I heard there's good food. So like I don't want to just I mean, I know I have goals, but I need to find a way to fit these calories to where I can go eat something really, awesome or have the
Yeah.
famous mac and cheese or the famous clam chowder, in Seattle or whatever. And I eventually got to a point, especially in March, that was when everything switched and I figured it out, how to make that work and to make sure I'm
Yeah.
eating stuff that I like to eat, but also still hitting my goals.
Yeah, definitely. Like a one show matinee is good for that, where like you can kind of backload those carbs and intake to when you're going to go out and have those meals. Whereas like, since it's a matinee and it's early, if you hadn't eaten that much, like it's okay, you can get through it and then just,
Yeah,
uh, you know, go at it. I
exactly.
I love some good food. So I know exactly, I'm doing that when the weekend comes and I know like, oh, I'm gonna get after it tonight.
Yeah,
I switch immediately to like my almost non-existent carb intake, protein only, because tonight I'm about to consume my daily carbs in one sitting.
that's me. That's me today for my
There you
girl's
go.
birthday. For her birthday
Right.
tonight, I'm taking her to a nice restaurant, and I was like, "Well, we gonna eat well," and
Yes.
so all the protein is being consumed right after this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Okay.
after workout. Yeah,
All right. Well, let's hop off. Happy birthday to your girlfriend. Let's hop off
thank you.
to staying on the Hamilton tour, but off of like the fitness side. Um, with being in a show that is about the upcoming of our country, like what has that been like the past like 6 months or even like last year? was it business as usual, or like what was that experience like being on a tour of a show that's about the upbringing of the United States of America?
Yeah. It's what makes the show incredible is that the meaning can change when the world is morphing the way it is. And not that the meaning is completely changed, because the meaning is the meaning, but like it is informed differently when, stuff that's happened with ICE recently during the election. I mean, that was a tough time for, I think, a lot of us doing the show. And you hear something as simple as, I remember there were times where there were people who would like shout USA, USA after Yorktown, and we would have different reactions. Like, because it was around the election when that would happen. I think we were in Denver,
Yeah.
and some people in the cast would be really uncomfortable with that. And some of us were like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then it would start happening more often. Then you're kind of like, okay, I get why this is uncomfortable, because we don't know. Unfortunately, we don't know as cast members if it's like just like a member who's like just really loved the audience member who just really loved what they saw. Yorktown, big number, boom, it finishes, and you're just like, yeah, like our country won this war, or whatever. They're just into it. Maybe they get a
Right.
little tipsy, or if it's someone who is trying to make us uncomfortable, which we've had those people who whatever. And so I say all that to say that, like, I remember that time in Denver, um, and how tough it was for some of us in Seattle. I think there were some moments there too. Uh, and then recently with the stuff with ICE, I mean, with a lot of us, how we look, where we come from, uh, doing that show was easier some days than others. Um, so all that to say, like, it's a great show for, like, just in a vacuum. But yeah, sometimes I think there was a lot of introspection on, like, you had to have some introspection on, like, what is this show for me today? Because sometimes it was to help with everything that's going on, and sometimes it was kind of like I have to put aside uh, some things and just like focus on my character and less about the meaning. Focus
Yeah.
on my job. So yeah, that maybe got a little deeper here and there, but like that,
No.
that I think it just depended on the day and the time. And you talked about where the world is now, and I think yeah, just some days were easier than others for that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So now that you've moved on from the tour, are you happy to kind of have some breathing time? Like, what's up? What's the transition like? I know with the industry, we're in a show one day, we're out of a show the next.
Mm,
Like for example, Real Women Have Curves,
mm,
Boop, Smash. These are Broadway shows right now that have all recently announced closing. Obviously, your show is is the Philip tour still going on, or was your contract done? Like, what was your scenario of leaving the tour?
yeah, the tour closed June 1st, so that tour is
Okay,
just up and done. Also saw all three of those shows, great shows. Especially recently saw Real Women Have Curves. Love that show. The show
crazy,
was
right?
so
So
great,
good. And
so
speaking
good.
of things that topics that are like current in the times and hits a whole different way,
Hmm.
like that couldn't be any more true. But yeah, to go back to that, I kind of fumbled the bag when I was bringing it up, but like my clients that are in those shows, some are indifferent, some thrive, some really struggle. What has the transition been like for you? Do you have any like encouraging words for people listening, fellow performers, of like how you kind of welcome that with open arms in any way that you might? Yeah, just kind of riff off that for a little bit.
Yeah, the first word that came to my head is divine timing. That's just with me. Like, not just like, whatever you believe in. I think spirituality is spirituality. It's not just, whatever it is. But I believe that the universe, whatever, like, things happen how they're supposed to happen. And I just believe that, like, if I'm meant to struggle, then I'm meant to struggle, but I'm going to end up where I need to be. I've always been that way. Uh, Obviously, getting into this business, with how I said, with school and auditioning for the schools, and I got a no, but I'm like, okay, it was supposed to be no now, so it's going to be yes later. Uh, that's when I got Hamilton. I had a big savings and was just auditioning, and then by the time I got the job, I was thinking I had to go back to Orlando because I didn't have any money left. And then luckily the job fell right when I needed it. I mean, literally right when I needed it. So all that to say, uh, for me, and like I don't have anything lined up right now. I'm blessed to have a decent savings again to push through and see what comes. But yeah, I would say just keeping a high vibration, staying positive, knowing that you need to do things to whatever you need to do. If it's get a job outside of the industry or whatever, like do it. But we know what we signed up for because we love this so much, and the next thing is it's going to come. If you want to keep pursuing, it's going to come. Because even on the tour I was just working on, I was working with people who had stopped doing theater for 5 years and pursued something else. I think one of them pursued interior design for 5 years, and they loved it. And then this job came up, and they said, "Great!" And then they did that tour for 5-6 years after that, and they were in their late 30s to early 40s. And so like you will always end up where you're going, where you need to be, is how I feel about it. And sometimes it's not exactly what you want or exactly the way you want it to happen. That part, maybe most times it doesn't happen exactly the way you want it to happen, but it's because it needs to happen that way, and it is a blessing. And look at it that way. And also surround yourself with good people. I think that's a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think the people around me make this transition easier because, yeah, without them, it'd be harder.
I love that. Yeah, when I journal a lot of the time, I'll write, "I'm on my way." Like, you're headed there. You might be in the valley, but you need to be in the valley to head to the peak. Like, there is no high without the low. So I love that.
I like that.
All right, cool. So other than that, Eddie, we talked about fitness. We talked about your tour life. We talked about Orlando. The last thing I really just want to know is like, how do you find your grounding or your social life, or like who Eddie is outside of theater? Speaking to you already, I could tell like you're a well-rounded guy. So like, another thing I want to pass the mic to you on is like on helping like our listeners is like, where do you find that center outside of the stage? Because I always try to preach that like it's great to be a person in theater as opposed to a theater person, because I think psychologically, mentally, our mental health can be so much better when it's not so consuming, if you will. So like, who are you? What movies are we watching? What hobbies do we got? What people, where are we going to see our friends? Like, what's up with you off the stage?
Yeah, and I agree. It's incredibly important to have those things to keep yourself centered. I'm a big sports guy. I just am. So it's yeah. I mean, with the NBA Finals and the playoffs were just happening, so honestly, the hardest parts for me were always those like Sunday nights or whatever, where we had the two shows on Saturday and Sunday on tour. So then it's like, oh, I'm missing the Super Bowl. Or I'm missing like, when football was on, or the big game is, every night. So sometimes that was hard, but that's a big thing for me. I just love sports. I love playing sports. When sometimes you would give me conditioning, I'd be like, I'm balling for an hour and a half. I think that covers it. Because I just love, especially basketball, which I'm excited to be here and hopefully find some people to run with at some point. But yeah, big sports guy. Movies, I've really been into horror recently.
Oh no.
But yeah, I do love horror, but I just love good movies. Me and my girl are big on like when the Oscars are coming, we're like, okay, let's make sure we can watch as many of these as possible. And I loved Nora. I know it won the Oscar for Best Picture, and I was happy because I thought it should have. But yeah, so So big on that. I love trashy reality TV. Big
Okay.
fan of that. Love Love Island and
I was just gonna say, you're on the Love Island
yeah, Love Island, Love is Blind, Big Brother. Uh, I'm trying to get more into Survivor, but I'm real behind on that. So yeah, oh my God, Traders, which I think is one of, if not the best one out right now. So yeah, big on that. And then like I'm very competitive, which did also help with losing all the weight that I did. Um, because I just like competing with. If I can't compete with someone else, I'm gonna compete with myself.
Yeah.
But I love like escape rooms and mini golf and bowling and anything where people are doing a softball league. I'm like, let me join. Like I am big on just competing with people. Board games, which more or less can make people like me or not like me because I do like to like talk trash and whatever. It's all fun and games. It's all fun and games, but some people don't like that. But yeah, so
I
that's
love that.
that's me. I would say that's me on hobbies. I'm also big on
All right.
astrology. I'll add that last thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What month are you born in?
This month. My birthday's in less than 3 weeks.
Okay. I'm 1 month after you, so
You
uh
Leo?
I'm a Leo, yeah.
Yeah, you're August. Okay. Are
Yeah.
you late August or early August?
The 11th,
Yeah.
early-ish, I
So you're
guess.
Leo. You're Leo. Yeah,
Yeah,
August
yeah.
11th. All right.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll have to get you out to one of those board game bars sometime and see what you
Yeah.
got.
Let's do it.
Have you been to any in the city? Have you ever been to a board game bar?
I don't
They're
think I
hard.
have in this city. No.
They're serious there. Watch out. They're serious.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be bad at first, and then I'm gonna crush him. That's how I do it.
Okay,
I
okay,
I,
okay, okay.
I like to do it. It sounds good.
All right, Eddie. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. Appreciate you and everything you shared with us.
All right. Thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
All right, later. All right, Eddie Ortega there from the Philip Tour. Just got off a month ago. Heard his story. A lot of inspiring stuff there, and his workout journey. Crazy. Really proud. So, yeah, follow Eddie on the gram. His Instagram is in the description of this episode. And that's it, folks. I'm Joe Roscoe with Built for the Stage. Actors or athletes, train like one. Later.